Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Curtis, and today I'm going to do a review for Zatima Season 4, Episode 2. Alright, y'all, so this episode actually picks up 4 months after the last episode ended, and y'all, Fatima, she looks like she's getting ready to pop. I notice that her belly is hanging a little low, so I'm going to assume that she's going to have a boy. Throughout the episode, her and Zach, they do talk about, if it's going to be a boy, if it's going to be a girl, but something tells me in my heart of hearts that it will be a boy. We see Fatima and Zach, he's trying to hang up a picture, but Fatima's like, no, 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 do it this way, it's crooked. And he's like, it's not crooked. And she's like, you know what, let me just step in and do it myself. So she actually moves in, she looks at it, and she does her hands kind of like this, as if she's actually like making some type of corrections, and she's like, perfect. And he's like, you didn't even do anything. Zach tells her that the space where they put the picture should have been saved for the maternity photos. And she's like, well, I'm actually going to replace it once I do take the maternity photos. I just wanted to see how it would look with the picture right there. And Zach is just like, oh my God, women, I swear I do not understand y'all. Zach attempts to walk away, and Fatima's like, where are you going? He's like, I'm about to go chill. Like, what do you mean? She's like, no, you need to take out the trash, you need to do the laundry, you need to put the crib together. Because one, we have company coming over later. But also, you always tend to put things on the back burner. Like, you always wait to the last minute. Like, why do you do that? And so he attempts to counter this by saying, well, you leave hair in the sink and you leave hair in the tub. And she counters this by saying, well, speaking of hair, you leave your hair from the middle region in the tub as well. And so he does accept defeat after that. And she's like, listen, you need to take the trash out. And then he starts pounding like a little kid. And I was like, Zach, it's crazy. Zach and Fatima end up going upstairs. And poor Zach, he is tasked with trying to put that crib together, remember? And this crib has 1,000,001 pieces. And Fatima's like, you should have just bought the other one. Like I said, it would have been less work. And he's like, no, this one is much better. It has the latest technology. And besides, the other one was basically like a baby present. And I don't want my baby in that. Like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, maybe you should just hire somebody to put this together. And he's like, no, I'm going to put this together myself. I do not need any help. It appears as if they're getting ready to go back and forth a little bit more, but then the doorbell rings. So Fatima and her belly, they wobble downstairs. Fatima opens the door, and the man, he basically rushes into the house. And Fatima's like, excuse me, can you wait? Like, what do you want? He's like, are you Zachary Taylor? And she's like, do I look like a Zachary Taylor to you? And so Zach actually comes downstairs after her and begins walking towards the door. And so Fatima's kind of like, go this way. He's like, why are you doing this to me? Like, what is going on? So he actually walks up to the door, and the man's like, are you Zachary Taylor? And he's like, yes. And he's like, oh, great, you've been served. And then he walks away. Zach is confused. He's like, what is going on? And so Fatima actually looks at the paper that he left behind when he said that he was served. And it shows that Heather's aunt is actually suing Zach and her sister for custody and child support because she does not feel like either one of them are fit parents. This threw me off because I was like, wait a minute, can an aunt sue their niece for child support? Like, I didn't know that was a thing. So I said, let me go on Google just to see if this is something that's real or is this just something that's in the Tyler Perry universe, because y'all know how he does. So I went on Google, and it turns out that a family member can sue to get custody of a baby and can win if they can prove that the parents are unfit in the state of Georgia. I was like, wow, had no idea. We go to Angela's house, and she gets a call from Sean. And y'all, if you all watched my season 3 recap, you all know how much I dislike Angela, Sean, and Bryce's little triangle. It really gets on my nerves. Tyler Perry, if you're watching this, or somebody that's cool with Tyler or one of Tyler's representative, listen to me. It's time to wrap the storyline up. We don't care. Let it go. Sean asks her if she would like to go on a date, and then somebody knocks on the door. So she's like, yes, I'll go on a date with you. And she basically rushes him off so she can answer the door. And when she opens the door, it's Bryce. And Bryce was like, who are you talking to? Is that Sean? And this is what I'm talking about right here. Like, why is he so creepy and so weird? And she's like, yes, it was Sean. And he was like, what did he want? And she's like, well, he asked me on a date. And he was like, are you going to go? And she was like, well, I am single, so I may go. And he was like, well, you don't have to be single. And I said, Bryce, you tried to kiss Zach, and you wanted to fuck Preston. It's a no. I'm telling you, I do not know which relationship storyline gets on my nerves more. This relationship triangle between Angela, Bryce, and Sean, or the situation that's going on Sisters when it comes to Sabrina and Rich. At this point, they are pretty much neck and neck. Angela asks him, she's like, why are you here? He says, listen, I have good news. And he pulls his laptop out. And he says, search your name. Angela's like, listen, I've seen enough of me on the internet looking crazy, doing things I shouldn't be doing. Like, I don't want to see that anymore. And he's like, listen, just search your name again and just see what pops up. And so she searches her name and she sees that the photos, the videos, the disrespectful comments are all gone. And she's like, wait, what happened? And he was like, listen, I have a couple of connects and they were able to get everything scrubbed off of the internet, so it's no longer there. And so she embraces him, and of course he becomes weird. He's like, oh my God, you're so soft. And she's like, oh, See, this is what I'm talking about with you, Bryce. Every time I try to embrace you, do something weird. And he says, you know what, I'm sorry, because you know that's something that Bryce does. He says he's sorry 20,000 times. He's like, you know, I'm sorry for everything that happened. This was all my fault, pretty much. And she said, yes, it was. And so then he's looking like he's getting ready to leave, but she's like, you know what? You can actually stay for lunch. And then he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll go to my car and I'll get my overnight back. She's like, no, 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 no. I said you can stay for lunch. And he's like, what kind of lunch? And she said, don't play with me. Back at the house, Fatima and Zach are having a conversation about the lawsuit. Zach tells her that being accused of being an unfit father is the worst thing he's been accused of so far. And I was just like, I don't know about that, Zach. If we go back to the previous season, you were accused of murdering somebody, so I feel like that one is a little bit higher, but that's just me. Fatima tells him that he is not an unfit father, but he's like, listen, it doesn't matter if I am or if I'm not. The fact is somebody is suing me for custody because they feel like I'm an unfit father. Like, that is really bad. And Fatima's like, listen, we are going to fight this. And he's like, you know what? I'm not even sure if I really want to fight this. And Fatima's shocked. He's like, listen, my son has been taken away from me so many times that it's getting to a point that I don't even think he wants to be around me. Like, does he even want me around? And Fatima's like, listen, everything's going to be okay. It's just a little bit of disconnect that you feel right now, but listen, it's going to be fine. She gives him more words of encouragement, and then she places his hand over her stomach because the baby is kicking. And this seems to calm Zach down just a little bit. And she's like, you know what? You're going to be an amazing dad. And he says, thank you. We go to the hospital and we see Connie. I'm just like, oh, Connie. For those of you who do not know, Connie is my favorite on Zatima. Out of everybody that's on the show, I feel like everybody's great, everybody's cool. Connie, to me, is the best character on the show. So to see her in the hospital like this, I'm just like, dang. The doctor asks her how she doing, and she's like, Doc, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm feeling extremely tired. And he's like, you know what? The chemotherapy would do that for you. And she's like, you know what? I was speaking to the nurse, and she told me that they had to increase the chemical dosage. So I'm just trying to figure out why. And he tells her that the cancer is actually spreading, and that, you know, when it comes to the chemotherapy, they may have to like up it a little bit more when it comes to the regimen so they can fight this. And he also says that when it comes to the chemo sessions, that it may last about 3 months. And she's like, oh, I don't really know about this because I have kids. I don't have anybody to watch the kids. And he's like, listen, this is the time where you need to reach out to all of the family that you have, all of the friends that you have, develop your village, so that way they can look after your kids while you go to chemo, because this is pretty much a life or death situation. Fatima and Angela meet at the yoga class, and y'all, there was no yoga happening in that class. This was just pretty much for them to have little girl talk, okay? And so Angela tells Fatima that Bryce was able to scrub the photos and the videos off of the internet, and then Fatima tells Angela that Heather's aunt is suing Zach and Heather for custody because she does not feel like they are fit parents. And then Fatima says she feels like she's going to use Zach's past against him. And then Angela's like, you know, what are you going to do? And she's like, what do you mean? We're going to fight this in court. Angela's like, you know, I'm surprised. And Fatima's like, why are you surprised? And she's like, well, you know, most women will be happy at the fact that somebody's trying to take custody of the baby. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, think about it for a second. If the aunt is successful in getting custody, that's one less baby that Zach has to worry about, right? He doesn't have to deal with Karen because unfortunately Karen lost a baby. So therefore, the focus is just going to be on you. You ain't got to worry about no other baby mama. You ain't got to worry about no child support. You ain't got to worry about another child. You can only focus on your child. And I was just like, Angela, is this really the advice that you're giving to your good friend? Now, granted, I know that Fatima, she said some slick shit about you in the previous season, basically calling you a hoe and saying that you can't say shit about her relationship because you don't have a man. And so maybe this is your get back, but no. No. We go back to Connie. She actually reaches out to Zach, and it appears as if she's getting ready to tell Zach what's going on and actually asking for some help. But unfortunately, Zach gets a call from Preston. So it's like, hey, you know, unfortunately, I have to go out and talk to Preston. So she's like, okay, cool. Let Fatima know I said hi. And he's like, okay, cool. And so he hangs up from her, and he actually answers the phone for Preston. And Preston is like, hey, have you had a chance to see the office since it's been furnished and it's been painted? And he's like, no, I haven't had a chance, but I will go over there soon after I finish doing a couple of things around the house. And Preston, he can tell that something is off, so he's like, is everything okay? And he's like, no. And it's like, is there anything that I can help you with? And he's like, I mean, if you know a good, you know, custody lawyer. And Preston's like, well, I actually do know a good custody lawyer. It's one of my exes, but I'm pretty sure that she will help out, you know, if you really need her. And he's like, you know what, sure, I would appreciate that. We go to the barbershop, and y'all, it's real tense, it's real suspicious. I'm like, what's going on? We see Tony comes out of the room, and then there's an envelope full of money. So he looks at it, he's counting it. But then Tyrone comes in, and so he tries to put the envelope behind his back, but the problem is that there's a mirror back there. And so he's like, hey, Tyrone, I thought you were going to lunch. Like, what's going on? And so Tyrone is like, what's that? He's like, what's what? He's like, behind your back. He said, I don't have nothing. He's like, I can clearly see it. He's like, it's nothing. And so Tyrone ends up snatching the envelope, and he sees that there's money in there. And he's like, are you really stealing from the shop? And he's like, I'm not stealing from the shop. I was just putting some money to the side. This is money out from the side. And he was like, Tony, you know you don't have to do this anymore. You know that situation's pretty much over. And he's like, no, I need to make this right. And he's like, you don't have to do this. And he's like, listen, I got to go. I got to make this right. I got to make this good. And then he just rushes out. And then next thing you know, Tony's in the projects and he's looking this way, he's looking that way. He's looking super suspicious. I'm like, what exactly is going on here? So he ends up walking up to somebody's door. He puts the envelope down on the ground. He knocks on the door and then he walks away. And so a woman actually comes out, she sees the envelope, she picks it up, and then she looks around. But of course, Tony is nowhere to be found because he's already walked away. All right, that was the end of the episode. I felt like it was a decent episode. It definitely had a lot of filler, a lot of fluff. But I felt like Connie's storyline and Tony's storyline, I like the build up of what's going on there. So I look forward to seeing what's happening with that. But if you all could, please like, comment, share, subscribe. That would be great. Hope you all have a great rest of your day.